Baron. So let's see if they do first pick it or they're going to go ahead and pick up that Lyra. So Lyra will be picked up, which then leaves Baron open and Idris. So if anything, SaltyPotatoes could pick up that Idris and then ban away that Baron because you don't want to give G2 that Baron-Lyra combination. So let's see what SaltyPotato decides.
Or they could just go ahead and grab Baron and then ban away the Idris. Either or. I think both are very, very strong. And it's really just a matter of personal preference at that point for what your carry wants. But they're going to take the Kestrel.
Well, the Kestrel definitely something that can be flexed between both jungle and carry roles. So a decent first pick, not first pick, not something that we see all too often this early in the draft.
Yeah,
though.
Kestrel works here because she does 130% basic attack damage on her arrows or glimmer shots. A lot of damage against a Lyra, which is not really a good front line against a Kestrel, a weapon Kestrel especially, and a crystal Kestrel. So I do like that pick into Lyra. Of course, then you have to ban the Baron because Baron is good into
everything.
Good with Lyra and good into everything in general. So now for G2, they definitely should not ban Idris here. On the B side, they should ban something like a support or a jungler that they don't want to give SaltyPotatoes. So like Samuel is a good ban. Samuel Kestrel is normally the meta in terms of like strong carries after Baron and Vox are taken off the table. So it's a really good ban here from G2.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if SaltyPotatoes were hoping to get the Kestrel Samuel and try and bait G2 into an Idris pick, because the Kestrel and Samuel have both been used quite frequently of late to try and counter out the Idris. So I think that may have been the plan for SaltyPotatoes, or at least the initial plan, and G2 sort of sniffing that out, taking that Samuel off the board is a really smart ban.
Yeah, Grumpjaw going to be the lock-in though, so this could well be that jungler with Kestrel going on into the lane. Grumpjaw, again, we've had this conversation before. He kind of fell off a little bit. Teams stopped prioritizing him in the same way, but definitely a pick that can have huge impact on the game if you can get that ball rolling right at the start.
Yeah, it has a ton of early game burst, but Scarf has been one of the very frequent counters to it. It's really Scarf and Kestrel, so SaltyPotatoes, they took away one of them, but with the Scarf still available, G2 are going to be more than happy to lock that in. It does sort of go against Dark Potato's typical playstyle. He usually excels on more of the bruiser type heroes, but Scarf is just so strong in the current meta.
Yeah, and Scarf, almost 62% win ratio right now. Very, very strong pick. And Idris as well, going to be the final lock-in for G2. So they've got their composition locked on in now. As we look over towards SaltyPotatoes, how do you finish out this composition? What captain really fits this right now?
Yeah, I think they may switch the Grumpjaw to a captain position because Grumpjaw is actually not that strong into Scarf, because Scarf's passive burn actually removes his stacks really quickly, and that weakens Grumpjaw immediately. And we saw Grumpjaw actually lose multiple times to a Scarf jungle in the EU matchup that we've seen in the challenge battles and week 4 of Split 1. So I think this will most likely move to a captain position Grumpjaw, and then they're going to go with a CP Blackfeather here, I'm assuming. Or would that be a weapon Blackfeather in lane and a CP Kestrel?
I think you could really go with either one. I think both are going to have about the same amount of success against an Idris. It's really just who you feel is going to be able to pressure the Scarf out of the jungle, because you need to get that pressure onto Scarf and really onto Idris as well. It's a very late game composition for G2, and SaltyPotatoes are going to have to find ways to win in the early game.
Yeah, potentially about what people are more comfortable playing as well. Bear in mind, this is a team that has just now qualified for the Vainglory 8. Within challenges, it's usually a lot more about comfort picks and slightly less about meta, but that's something that has to change coming in here.
Yeah, it's actually, now that you mentioned comfort picks, it's very likely going to be the Blackfeather in the lane because it's sneaky. I don't know how I forgot about the sneaky Blackfeather. The two go hand in hand. His Blackfeather is absolutely incredible. All
right, well, it's just about time to get on into this one. Let us know who you want to win on this first game of the Vainglory 8 today. Hashtag Vainglory 8 on Twitter. Do you believe in the G2 rise to power once more? Do you believe in the challenge battles making a stand here? SaltyPotatoes up against G2. Let's start the day.
Do you believe in the Dark Potato, or do you believe in the Salty Potatoes? Jackson, this is going to be a fabulous way to start Split 2. This is an exciting matchup. How are you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how G2 has progressed, actually, from last Split. Obviously, there's a great storyline here with the new challenger team. How are they going to do? But G2, they tweeted about the fact that actually last time around, they didn't have the most practice in split number 1, for example. So are they going to be able to show us that they've gone away and like really practiced up and become the team that they used to be? Because they used to be, Humanist, probably one of the best teams in the region.
Oh, I would definitely say they were. We're having a little bit of fun down here in the jungle. Keanu and Class poking each other back and forth. But yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You put out a tweet like that, right? You're like, okay, yeah, we made it. We weren't playing, practicing too much. But now you say you're going to be practicing. You better show up and deliver.
Oh, absolutely. So looking at the beginning of this game here, let's start talking about what these compositions are trying to do a little bit. Obviously, you've got a very strong late-game composition on the side of G2. This is exactly the kind of comp that I think they're pretty happy to get, just in terms of what their team likes to do. On the other hand, though, pretty strong aggression coming out of SaltyPotatoes. Keanu, he's got to be a little bit careful here. I like trying to steal it away, though.
Yeah. I mean, Keanu, he's one of those playmakers, so he's going to try and steal it away. I think having the boots allows him to make those kind of plays. And you see Hundor taking a bit of damage as Class moves up into the lane. Keanu is here, waiting in the left mustache brush, ready to back his ally up. Keanu put 2 points into the sigil to start off, so he's not even worried about that bright bulwark. Just get as much heal early on as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty smart, to be honest. You've got a lot of damage coming out of the side of SaltyPotatoes, and yeah, Bulwark might stop some of it if you stop Class, for example, from getting there. Oh, Potato.
Potato, he's gonna have to get back with that move speed, but a lot of damage. They've caught him. Dark Potato looks like he might be first blood. Dips back to the east side and will go down on the wrong side of the map. First blood for the SaltyPotatoes.
Very nice stuff there. They were able to punish G2 for biting off a little bit more than they could chew there. And I've got to be honest, it surprises me that Dark Potato and co decided to go so aggressive early on. This is a composition that scales very nicely. Yes, you always want to be opportunistic in Vainglory. You always want to take the chances that you see. But at the same time, you've got to be careful not to get ahead of yourself. And that was, I believe, what G2 were doing there. Right now, though, this has given a lot of confidence to SaltyPotatoes to try and move up and actually pressure G2 a little bit. They do need to be careful as well, though. Dark Potato, obviously Scarf, has a lot of damage early on, just by virtue of the fact that in the jungle you get levels very quickly, and levels in your abilities do a lot of work.
Absolutely. I mean, positioning is a huge thing with Scarf. Not having your boots active could be a really big deal. Keanu is going to move forward. He sees Class here hanging out with Sneaky. Sneaky just needs to continue to farm. This weapon castle needs to get multiple weapon items to start to have a serious impact here. And Joker just hanging out in the jungle, wants to get his full rotation while the pressure starts to apply from G2. Dark Potato gets that ignited goop onto the turret here. A little bit of damage coming out, maybe just buying them some time to get back and purchase some items.
Yeah, and that's certainly something they need to be doing here, trying to get those up early on. I love how SaltyPotatoes has been controlling this Elder Treant, by the way. They've had it on spawn a bunch of times, I think maybe even 3 now. It's a pretty solid position to be in here, and it does give them a lot of early advantage. You can see they have accrued a couple of 100 gold off the back. They're definitely a composition that spikes pretty early, as we said earlier, compared to G2. So the question is, when and where are they going to be able to really apply the pressure that their comp can? I think a big spike for them is going to be the first item on Joker and Sneaky. They're going to have a lot of poke damage, and it's actually going to be very difficult for G2 to deal with early on here.
What's going to be pretty crazy is like if Class can use his ultimate and pull a target back into like an active camo, it can be really hard to deal with that. You could just be locked down burst if they're able to have really clean synergy on these engages. Joker moves up. Class is grumpy, but Hundor is getting a heal up. I think he didn't quite catch the move speed buff there. Bright Bulwark slowing him down just enough. Joker really hungry for that kill. He's going to catch a Spitfire on his way down into the jungle. Class as well. That Scout Trap doing a lot of work. They will eventually pop it off. It's going to be a popped off, plus the goop ignite burning Class down. He's just so tanky though.
Yeah, Class, of course, with that passive is very, very tanky. Look at the damage, though.
Oh, they're right back in. Keanu, you're in a bad place. Keanu! How is he able to get out of that one? I thought that was a dead Lyra for sure.
Yeah, I did as well. I think there was a little bit of mixed target focus. You see Hundor took some chip damage there, and certainly that is something which, ideally you want the target focus to be exclusively on the person you're going for. But still, you can see SaltyPotatoes being very proactive. That's certainly a very good thing for them to be doing. They need to be proactive and aggressive in order to stop the scaling out of G2. And they're very tight as a unit. I mean, this is not something you expect necessarily to see out of a team that was formerly in Challenger in their first week of the Vainglory. They look very tight-knit. They look like they have their rotations on point, and these are things that normally take a little while for these teams.
Yeah, it normally does. I think, Sneaky has pro experience, classed a very high-level player. The Joker obviously fits in with these guys very well, and they're showing us they deserve to be here. For sure. Right now, G2, once again, as a group, Dark Potato is just going to continue to throw Spitfires. You see when it connects onto that Kestrel, a lot of damage. But there they come through with that on point from the Joker, letting him know, hey, man, we've got the poke too. But Joker, Rose defensive back as Hundor jumps forward. A two-man on point will connect. Both teams just poke back and forth. You see the jump in by Joker, but quickly right back out. Sneaky has to be evasive. Can't get locked down. Cannot be caught in a goop as a weapon Kestrel. That is not the play. Sneaky did complete that Sorrow Blade. We see a lot of different builds for the weapon Kestrel in the lane. Is this something that you like? Do you agree with this?
I think it's fine. It definitely does do a lot of damage early on, and it gives you the ability to team fight a little bit earlier in some situations. But you can see the aggression out of G2 again. Have they finally gone too far is the question. I mean, it looks like they're going to be able to back up. Dark Potato's actually committing to this fight.
Dark Potato's gonna roast some potatoes of his own. He knows how to play. And he jumps in there, but that's a dangerous position to be in. It will force the Fountain to come out of Salty Potatoes. An interesting position to be in. Both teams burning their Fountain, just kind of right back where they started.
Yeah, no one is really able to make any of this damage and pressure stick. It's kind of a war of attrition between the two teams right now. That being said, I think, as you might expect, this is something that benefits G2, given that they'd like to scale quite nicely. I think Salty Potatoes needs to focus on making sure that they find that flank angle with Sneaky. He at the moment has just been having to deal with the incredible push pressure coming out of Dark Potato in order to get farm. But if you want to go for the aggressive play, I think you should back out of vision a little bit, move up to that top bush in stealth, and then try and unload on someone as, Joker dives in onto the back line and distracts them quite a bit.
I really like that idea, especially because they have control with that scout trap. They've had control over the top brush for quite a while now. G2, once again, as a unit here, Dark Potato throwing Spitfires, looking to connect onto the Kestrel. Class will eat one. Sneaky did eat the previous one. And right now they just have a massive range advantage until Joker gets up here. Joker makes his way up, but you see G2's kind of repositioned. He doesn't really have an angle to go. He doesn't want to move forward and miss an on point. You always want to make sure you're hitting those so you can actually trade. Hundor does get hit, takes decent damage at this point. You see the Shatter Glass starting to stack up the damage coming through for this Crystal Power Blackfeather.
I really like that we're seeing this tension bow out of Sneaky, actually. Again, I think they need to be applying a lot of pressure. This is one way to start doing that a little bit more strongly. Let's see if they can actually make something happen.
Whoa, Arcane Passage for it. G2 knew they needed to get back up here. A lot of damage as that stuff came out in class, pulling him right back. Hundor is down. Dark Potato, though, standing his ground, has the goop, the ignite. You're not that tanky, though. Get back, Scarf. Oh. He's down. They've lost two. They're going to lose three. Is this going to be the ace? God, what are you going to do? He's down 4 to 0. Salty Potatoes, man.
Wow, that was really, really nice stuff there. Very aggressive play out of Salty Potatoes, but it works, and it was right off the back of that item spike that they had. There's also one or two things missing from G2, like, for example, this Crucible just got finished after the fight from their opponents, and certainly it's something that you really would have liked to have in that fight. Being able to give that shield to your whole team could have been the difference. Yeah. But that being said, Salty Potatoes, they timed it perfectly. Like, they knew that they had this spike. It's time to go aggressive. It's time to make something happen, and they did. They find a turret as well. Look at the gold advantage they have, 3,000. That's the kind of thing which translates to a real tangible, item lead.
Well, it's a serious lead at this point. It's also something that starts to stack up on the mentality of these players. They know that they want to stay as close as they can. You maybe have a little bit of a late game advantage, but it's not that much. I mean, a weapon Kestrel in the late game, a CP Blackfeather in late game, nothing to shake a stick at. It's gonna be once again class. He's stuffed up, moves back. It's Keanu though, the target. They move out of the active camo. Joker, he's on the Dark Potato on the backside. Can't find the kill, but Classed is there. He's repositioned. Classed, he is so grumpy, moving forward, finding the damage, finding the kill. Sneaky finally in position for a couple glimmer shots. Can't quite connect. One shot, one kill. Threads the needle off the mark, and Hundor Keanu are going to be able to live through this thanks to all the healing coming out there. Once again, the aggression. Can G2
Hunter
get
wants
down
to
here
go
and
in,
drop
though.
into the jungle? Joker taking a lot of damage. They underestimated G2's potential, and the Joker will go down. That felt like a bit of a misplay there, Jackson. Keanu's trading, though, right here. He can't live through Sneaky's basic
no.
attacks, but Sneaky goes down to Hundor. These guys, they're just throwing blows.
Man, if Sneaky had been with the rest of the team backing them up, maybe that goes a little bit differently. It's kind of a rough spot, actually, for the side of SaltyPotatoes there. I had been commending them on their rotations earlier on, but they, I think, dropped the ball a little bit. Now, you can see G2 pulling back a decent amount. They've closed that gold lead by about 1,000 off of that. And on top of that, they've also managed to get themselves that turret, which is huge, because it means they have much more pressure on the map. They have to be afraid of a few less, at the very least, avenues of attack coming out of their opponents. This is really, really solid position for G2 to be in, considering how far behind they were falling.
Yeah, and it's not like one of those things where, like, they're like, okay, and now we're going to barely get a turret off the back of this fight. Like, they just melted through it. So it shows potential. Wait, hold on. We have the engaged portal through the bright bulwark. They are on top of Sneaky. He's going to be able to try and find the stun. He's there. Basic attacks out. The Hundor will be melted down. They find two. G2 falling apart. They lost all three. A clean ace. SaltyPotatoes turning that one around, and they were not the aggressors.
Wow, that was really, really nicely played by SaltyPotatoes. They are starting to really turn up the heat. If you make a mistake like you did earlier on and a fight doesn't go your way, it can be okay so long as it's just one and you really do tighten up your game afterwards. And you saw it there. I mean, they really did. Sneaky especially had some really fantastic play by himself. I was really, really impressed by how he was able to play in that team fight, the way he used his stealth to get out of there, mess up Hundor's ability to go in. Really solid. You know, that's what you got to do as weapon caster. You got to be a little bit slippery.
I mean, honestly, I'm not even playing around. It's one of my favorite things to see is when a player will build all offense, no defense. Yeah, you got some boots, but with like this weapon caster, like you said, it's just about being sneaky, and he's living up to his name here, just elusive through the fights. You get that active camo down to reposition, and then just blow up a target. And you can take them down way faster than they can take you down. We're seeing right now SaltyPotatoes playing to their advantages. G2 a little bit forward in the lane. They know what's going on. SaltyPotatoes with the flank. They're going to clear out the minion wave back here on the backside now. G2, what's the play? Keanu on the front side. Dark Potatoes going to miss with the first Spitfire. Thundor's throwing the chakrams, trying to connect here. It looks like they'll have a window to rotate down. Maybe trying to pull him into the choke point here. Bright Bulwark's down. That's going to be a long cooldown. Big on connecting. They jump right on to Sneaky and melt him. Hundor has all the damage in the world and then some. Chakrams coming out as they look to chase. And it should be Joker able to get back, using that Rose offensive to reposition himself. Class had to burn the Fountain, the Atlas Pauldron as well, and the War Treads. A big win for G2.
You know, that honestly looked kind of good for SaltyPotatoes right at the very beginning, but then they walked too far into that choke point. They'd burned a lot of abilities. Imperial Sigil was on cooldown, Bright Bulwark was on cooldown. Right now, Class might be on cooldown for a second. No, he's going to be able to get out of there. But yeah, I mean, it looked optimistic, but then they didn't really fully commit quickly enough, and it gave time for the setup of the goop, etc., from Dark Potato to come down. Sneaky, if you get that low, is just going to die. There's not that many strong defensive tools on the side of SaltyPotatoes to deal with the kind of snap engage that a Lyra can provide.
Oh, man. And Keanu Nakoa, he has been so quick with his portals and Bright Bulwarks. When he goes, I mean, it's just such a quick decision. Now, SaltyPotatoes moving forward under the Crystal Sentry, they have a serious advantage. Clast is going to be stuffed up, pulling Dark Potato backwards. This is going to be a bad place to be for you, Scarf. He's down. They've lost too as Hundor fell, and Keanu, he already burned that Arcane Passage. Looks like he's going to go down as well. And, well, maybe starting to regret some of the tweets he put out earlier, man, because SaltyPotatoes is just running over G2.
Man, G2, they got to shape up for next game. This was aside from that one turnaround fight, not a game that they looked very good in. SaltyPotatoes just annihilated a team that was formerly the best in Europe after supposedly they went away and you know, already tightened up, already started to get some more practice in. Humanus, this is pretty surprising to me, but these challenger teams coming up into Vainglory 8, they're hungry. They're no joke.
Oh, they are hungry indeed. I think we can tell with the Grumpjaw pick there for sure. Class making play, Sneaky, Joker. It was a tight tight play all around from all these guys. It's exciting to see, but we saw there were obviously some weaknesses in their gameplay, even being ahead. Maybe they lose a fight and then quickly lost some objectives going the other way.